These are Brian and Quagmire's greatest feuds. We first learn of Quagmire's hatred for Brian in the episode Jerome is the New Black. So Peter and the gang are on the hunt for a new fourth friend ever since that sellout left for his own show. He'll be back. They always come back. Anyways, Brian offers his services to fill that void, but Peter breaks the whole Quagmire thing down for him.
What Quagmire thing?
Oh, just that he hates you.
Quagmire hates me?
Hates you.
Well, geez, thanks for putting it so delicately, Peter.
I don't get it. Why wouldn't Quagmire like me?
Because he thinks you're annoying.
I'm sure a lot of people in town hate Brian, but at least Quagmire was chill enough to keep it to himself. Best not to poke the bear, Brian. Well, technically Quagmire's 50 pounds soaking wet, but I'm getting off topic. But Brian wants to make things right, so he goes to Quagmire's to have a little chat.
Hey, Quagmire, what a coincidence. You and me just running into each other. How you doing?
What a coincidence, you probably haven't been standing out there an hour waiting for him. But oh, hey look, Quagmire has a girl over.
And from the looks of it, she likes it rough.
That's my sister, Brian. Her boyfriend has been beating her mercilessly.
Oh yeah, I thought she looked familiar. Brenda makes another appearance in a very dark episode, which you can check out in this video here.
I got a deaf brother. You want to make fun of him too?
Give him some time, I'm sure he'll think of something. And to top off this terrible interaction, Brenda's boyfriend arrives and makes this whole thing a lot more awkward.
He's savagely beating her again. You hear that?
Yeah, I'm not deaf.
Oh, what, like my brother?
Oh, there it is. See, I told you. But Brian isn't giving up yet, hatching a plan to win over Quagmire with a nice dinner.
How'd you convince him to go?
I tricked him, sent him a phony card. He thinks he's going on a date with an old girlfriend.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he'll love that. It's like when you ask for a new console at Christmas and you excitedly open up your PS5 box only to find socks inside. And that's why I don't speak to my parents anymore. So yeah, as soon as Quagmire realizes it's Brian in the car, things get a whole lot more awkward.
Where's Cheryl Tiegs?
Well, she's not coming.
I think it'd be one thing if it was just any old girlfriend, but it just had to be Cheryl, didn't it?
Cheryl was the one that got away. She was the great love of my life.
This actually isn't the last we'll hear of Cheryl Tiegs, as you'll find out later. Ooh, foreshadowing. So the two sit through the most awkward dinner ever, with Brian only making it worse with his small talk.
God, look at the size of these steak knives. What are they serving us, Tyrannosaurus Rex?
Not likely.
Reel it back in, Brian. Don't sound too desperate. Ask him about his interests.
How does a plane work?
Yeah.
You want me to sit here and explain to you how a plane works?
Yeah, this whole idea might be a dud. Sometimes you just gotta accept that not everyone will like you.
All I've done is try to be nice to you and you still don't like me. How can you not like me?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to experience a brutal takedown. Please fasten your seatbelts.
Okay, I'll tell you. You are the worst person I know.
Alright, let's break this down. Basically, Quagmire hates Brian for failing college twice yet still acting intellectual, constantly hitting on Lois after Peter saved him from certain death, dating bimbos despite acting like he loves women for their minds, being a terrible writer, being an outspoken but spineless liberal, being a failure as a father, and to top it all off...
You're just a big, sad, alcoholic bore.
Check please. But that won't be the last time Brian angers Quagmire, as Brian gets a bit too close with Quagmire's dad Quagmire's dad. So Quagmire's having a little crisis about his father, Dan. You see, Dan is known to be quite the womanizer, but Peter begins to suspect that Dan might be gay.
It's great to see you back in your element tonight, surrounded by seamen.
Seaman.
Not entirely sure why Quagmire would have such an issue with it. He always seems to be a pretty open-minded guy when it comes to bedroom shenanigans. But after he hears some accounts from Dan's fellow sailors, his suspicions start to get the better of him.
Your dad once drank me under the table.
If there was one man you wanted in your hole, it was your dad.
Your dad had the best in the military.
I tried Googling how that last pertained to the military, but all I got were some very questionable pictures. Oh no, I forgot to wipe my search history. Hoping to set the record straight, Quagmire confronts his father.
Are you gay?
Yeah, this seems like the kind of conversation to have in front of dozens of people.
Son, you have my word. I am not gay.
Well, that solves that. Nothing to question now. I sure hope nothing can sideswipe me before I finish this sentence.
But I am a woman trapped in a man's body. And while I'm in Quahog, I plan to have a sex change operation.
I guess he's technically not lying about not being gay. So Dan goes through with the procedure, and after a few hours, he walks out a brand new gal named Ida.
What do you think, boys?
I think this is about to create a lot of trouble for a certain dog. But where is Brian? Well, it turns out Brian just got back into town after a seminar, so he has no idea what's going on. One thing that hasn't changed, though? Brian is still an alcoholic.
Drop me off at the Marriott. I could use a drink.
Yeah, so Brian's chilling at the bar and just so happens to run into Ida, who's feeling a bit down because of Quagmire struggling to accept her. But you know Brian, single woman plus bar equals go time.
Brian.
Ida.
2 more, please.
The two actually hit it off. How anyone falls head over heels for Brian's writer shtick is beyond me. Oh, and I guess the fact that he's a dog, too? kinda seems like the first thing most people would take into account, but they talk and talk until eventually...
You know, we are in a hotel. And I'm in room 406.
Ooh, looks like we're getting a little bow chicka, perhaps even some wow wow. Brian returns home rejuvenated and full of life, ready to share the news of the woman of his dreams.
I met an amazing woman. Finally, the whole package.
He even took a photo of her, consensually, I would hope. Of course, they know about Ida, and they react accordingly.
Here, Lois, take a look.
Regardless of your beliefs, you can't deny that it's hilarious that Brian slept with the parent of the guy who hates him more than anything. It's too rich. So Brian instead turns to Stewie, who fills him in on all he's missed.
Decorated war hero Lieutenant Commander Dan Quagmire is now a woman.
Brian ironically finds this hysterical, yet when Stewie tells him she's staying at the Marriott, he doesn't put the pieces together. Well, how about a name drop then?
What is it, like Danielle or Dana?
No, Ida.
Yeah, okay there, Bri? Wait, Brian, don't! Don't, not in the house! Wow, it just keeps going. What could he have eaten? Okay, don't you think this is a little dramatic? But on the bright side, Quagmire finally finds it in his heart to be happy for his father, which is great because she can't wait to tell him all about the nice guy she just met.
Really? What's his name? No!
Since everyone is being very normal about this, hopefully Brian and Quagmire can chat this out with dignity.
Where is he? Where is that self-centered, arrogant son of a...
Yeah, so Quagmire lets him have it. I mean, it's not like Brian did anything that wrong, both were consenting adults in this situation. Though I can see why Quagmire would be upset. Obviously, this isn't gonna make their relationship any better, especially with Brian's killer last line.
Hey. I your dad.
But that isn't the last time Brian would stick his nose in Quagmire's personal life, as he would go on to steal the love of Quagmire's life in Tiegs For Two. So we start with Brian sadly drinking in the kitchen, probably realizing all those things Quagmire said about him are true.
I'm drinking because I'm sad. Because I'm never gonna meet the right woman.
Well, if you're really out of options, maybe you should take Quagmire's dating class.
How come I've never heard about this?
Because Quagmire forbids us to tell you about his life. As you may recall, he hates you.
Really though, why would you ever take a dating class from Quagmire? It's like taking driving lessons from Stevie Wonder. It's like, yeah, he can probably do it, but more likely than not, it's gonna be ugly. But against his better judgment, Brian decides to attend the class anyway. Guess how thrilled Quagmire is about that.
I don't want you in here.
Too bad. Here's my class receipt. Now teach me how to find love.
You know, Quagmire doesn't strike me as the loving kind of guy. He's more of a mistake that'll occasionally pop back into your brain, haunting you for the rest of your life kind of guy. But oh well, it's your love life's funeral, Brian. I guess the way to get women to like you is to dress like the biggest douche canoe this side of the Mississippi.
But tonight's the real test. I'm gonna try out what I've learned on Denise.
Judging by your Tony Hawk's Underground for the PS2 looking self, I can only hope Denise is into kickflips and 2000s new metal. But of course she's not. She's a regular person, someone this class is not designed to entice.
Hey, check your phone. I sent you something.
Oh my god, is that your—
Yeah!
So yeah, Brian completely bombs with Denise. This is my shocked face. Can you tell I'm shocked? Brian storms into Quagmire's class, calling him out for all the BS he's been teaching him.
This course is in getting laid, not finding love.
So what's the point?
Brian makes a good point. After all, Quagmire's still trying to find his way back to Cheryl Tiegs. Not sure how ruining the lives of young, unsuspecting women is supposed to help you there, but I won't question the master. Though as it turns out, Cheryl comes back into Quagmire's life after all.
What? Are you... Huh? Cheryl?
Hi, Glenn.
But no, this isn't his dream coming true, it's actually his nightmare.
Hey, Cheryl! Get your fat ass over here before I dump you!
He's so bossy, I love it.
Oh, revenge is so sweet, but only if it's from the revenge region of France, not that cheap revenge you get in California. But it's not over yet. Two can play this dirty game, as evidenced by Quagmire dropping in on Brian and Cheryl's date.
Since you guys are already here, I'd like to treat the four of us to dinner.
Well, that sounds absolutely... Wait, four?
My new girlfriend. Here she is.
Jillian?
Ooh, they're using their exes as weapons. Looks like we've got a hell of a dogfight ahead of us.
Maybe Jillian should know that you teach a class in picking up women.
And Cheryl should know that you took that class.
Woof, things are getting heated. At least they're keeping it above the belt.
Does Jillian know you're half Polish, Mr. Quagglecheck?
You son of a...
Nobody's gonna call me Polish and get away with it. The two continue to throw hands until the sensible ladies call things off.
Maybe you boys will get it together someday, but it looks like that's all you are. Boys. Yeah, boys.
Well, looks like these sad and lonely losers can be sad and lonely together.
Maybe it took us stealing each other's girls to finally become friends.
Yeah, maybe.
Ah, well, I guess this rivalry didn't last as long as I thought. I guess that's a wrap on... Wait, there's still like 7 more episodes in this script. I don't know about you, but only a true friend would hit you with the back of their car. My friends must really like me. But the two have actually forgotten about their rivalry before, and all it took was a little car accident amnesia and forget-me-not. So things start out okay with the gang driving to the bar. Everyone's getting along, a certain guy and dog aren't fighting each other, tranquilo.
Peter, look out for that car! That's not a car. What is that?
Are they in heaven? Purgatory? The North Pole? Oh, it's just the hospital. Both no universal healthcare, maybe purgatory was the better option.
Who are you?
I don't know. I just woke up here.
Ah, they're doing an amnesia episode. Again. Well, at least this time it's not just Peter, the whole gang gets in on it.
This is really weird. We seem perfectly coherent. It's just we can't remember who we are.
No biggie, just ask someone to clear things up. Bada bing, bada boom, you can get back to the bar. You should always help yourself to a nice stiff drink when you leave the hospital. That might be hard though, considering nobody is around.
What the hell happened? Where is everybody?
You don't suppose... You think we're the only people on Earth?
Or, this is one big surprise party. Just weighing all the options. So the guys brave the empty streets, eventually figuring out where they live based on Brian's nose.
I poop a lot on this lawn. This must be where I live.
Yeah, let's go with that. And judging by that picture of Quagmire hanging in the house, Brian is either his dog or a huge creepy fan.
You're my owner.
I knew it. I knew we were pals.
So in a different timeline, Quagmire and Brian could be friends, and all it takes is losing every memory about you and the people around you. Thanks for nothing, Dr. Strange.
But I see you've got a dog collar and a leash.
And look how big your doggy cage is. You could fit a human in there.
Please, for the love of God, have the hindsight to wipe down everything in there before you touch it. Well, the relationship seems short-lived as Brian is able to annoy Quagmire in record time.
Should I be the one writing about this?
I don't know.
I think it should be me.
And just do it. Stop talking about it, for God's sake.
Even when he doesn't know he's a pretentious writer, Brian is such a pretentious writer. So the guys get together to try to figure out what the heck is going on, eventually spotting a gag newspaper clipping from when Peter won laser tag.
Oh my God. It's him.
He did this.
What do we do?
I don't know, maybe stop and think about how anyone could have printed a newspaper if no one was around to do it? I swear some of these problems can be fixed with just 5 seconds of common sense. But the guys entertain this theory, believing Peter must have kept them alive for a reason.
Maybe we're important. I mean, I do have all these profound ideas and thoughts. Maybe I was a deep thinker of some kind.
Sure, Brian, and you and Quagmire are definitely best friends.
You know, this actually reminds me of a quote by Milton.
Shut the up.
Now there's only one reasonable thing to do. They're gonna have to kill this guy. While Quagmire and Joe get guns, Brian will have to keep an eye on Peter.
Oh, come on, why me?
Because I'm your owner and I said so.
Quagmire really seems like the leaves his dog outside all the time kind of dog owner. What else can you expect from a cat guy? Yuck. But who would have guessed it? Brian and Peter actually get along pretty well. Almost like they were friends in a past life. When Joe and Quagmire return, he tries to talk them out of killing him. When they refuse, Brian tries to save Peter, even taking a bullet for him. That is such...
Ah!
Bullcrap! Sorry, lost my cool there. But come on, another episode where it was all a simulation like Lois kills Stewie? Whatever, at least we got to see Brian and Quagmire try and be friends, pretty much solidifying there's no way in hell they can make it work. And Brian and Quagmire are back on their BS when Brian scams Quagmire with a bad rental property and Brian the closer. So things get off to a gruesome start when Peter and Brian are fighting over a rope toy. Classic dog versus man baby scenario. But in typical Peter fashion, he takes it too far and turns Brian's nose into a sock filled with meat.
My teeth!
A few seconds in and I'm already tired of looking at this episode. That's always a good sign. Brian goes to the bar to drink away his sorrows, kept company by his best pal in the world, Quagmire.
Your face looks like a used condom.
Yeah, I know.
And now he's crying. Don't you hate it when someone does that in public and now all of a sudden you have to play therapist?
Just take this.
What is this?
That's my dentist. He'll bill me. I've got an account.
Wow, is Quagmire actually being nice to Brian? Even if it's just to shut him up, that's quite a nice gesture.
I won't forget this, Glenn Quagmire.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to forgetting that sad elephant trunk Brian calls a face. So Brian returns home with a set of nice new chompers. The whole family loves him, but I don't know. Were they out of dog teeth and had to use horses? But these teeth give Brian a new lease on life, feeling confident and proud wherever he goes. He looks so charming that he actually gets confused for a real estate agent.
Can we ask you a few questions?
Yeah, sure.
His smile lands him a nice little job with a real estate agency. Wouldn't that be nice, getting a job just by your smile? You walk into an interview, don't even hand them a resume, and just go... He gets so good at his job that his boss proposes a little challenge to sell a piece of crap condo.
You find some sucker to buy it, and I'll make you partner.
But what sucker could Brian possibly find for a sale like that?
I am flush. For the first time in my life, I got money to burn.
Oh, come on, you're gonna screw over the guy who helped you while you were at your lowest? Normally, I feel kinda bad for how Quagmire treats Brian, but nah, he's getting everything that's coming to him with this stunt. So Brian decides to sweet talk him, butter him up a bit, and even pay him back the money for the procedure.
I just wish I could do something more for you.
Oh, you're too kind, Brian, you little scumbag. Brian sits Quagmire down and actually convinces him to go in on the property. But come on, the ceiling is a pool? Who needs health insurance or retirement funds when you can have that? When the guys go to check the place out, not only is there no pool ceiling, there's not much of anything.
What am I gonna do? I sank my entire bonus into this place.
Luckily, lawyer Joe says Quagmire can back out of the deal within 72 hours of finalizing. But now they've got to find Brian. If I was in the dog's shoes, I'd be halfway across the country by now. With the clock ticking, Brian decides to hide out at a motel. Why a motel, though? That's like the universal beacon for people who are trying to hide. No one stays in motels anymore. You might as well be shouting, "Hey, I'm on the run," from the rooftop.
Welcome home.
Ah, hey there, buddy. There you are.
Quagmire tries to strong-arm his way out of the deal, but Brian, being the beaver-toothed weasel that he is, tries to convince him otherwise.
Screwing over the people who helped you? I don't know how you sleep at night.
Probably at the foot of Peter and Lois's bed. No, that's not what he meant. Brian does seem to realize the error of his ways, calling himself a pretentious and egotistical jerk. That's actually a pretty noble and mature self-reflection from Brian. Maybe he isn't as bad as Quagmire.
And that is 72 hours. Enjoy your crap hole, dumb.
Never mind. Knock his teeth out, Quagmire. If you ever think these two's rivalry is one-sided, don't forget that Brian brings a lot of this on himself. But Quagmire and Brian take their war to the political field when they both run for mayor in Adam West High. Unfortunately, we have to start the episode off on a sad note, as the show addresses the death of Mayor Adam West not long after the real Adam West passed away. This is the one character death in the show that actually makes sense. Brian. But he'll always be remembered, especially now that the high school is renamed after the legendary actor at the recommendation of Brian. The mayor's late wife, Carol, is thankful to Brian, seeing a lot of Adam in him.
I think you should be the next mayor of Quahog.
Really? You want someone who's a liar, a cheater, and a degenerate? Actually, I just described the politician. Okay, maybe he is right for the role. But of course, not everybody is happy about this decision from Brian.
I can't believe we're gonna have a dog for mayor. We're gonna be the laughing stock of the whole country.
Wouldn't be the first time with the dog mayor. Just look at Duke, who was the mayor of Cormorant, Minnesota, who won re-election twice. Politics really is one big joke, isn't it? Well, Brian may not be able to follow that trend as Quagmire throws his hat into the race as well.
Why are you running for mayor?
Let me think. Oh yeah, out of spite. Spite for you.
Good enough reason as any.
Well, you're just wasting your time because you're not gonna win.
I don't know about that. You seem pretty afraid.
Yeah, but Brian is afraid of his own farts, and you're not even the fart. But it's time for the first debate, resident pervert versus dog. And like I say during every election, is this really the best we can do? Well, hopefully we can hear them discuss policies, plans of action, ways to improve the town.
Pizza!
Screw it, you got my vote. Brian confronts Quagmire on his mayoral tour bus, but things get quickly heated.
Sit down, Snoopy.
What did you say?
Oh, so all dogs look the same to you, Quagmire, you dog racist?
You son of a bitch.
Good aim, Bri. And with that, the bus goes tumbling off a cliff, just barely held up by a few branches.
I can't believe this. I'm gonna die with Glenn Quagmire.
It could be worse. You could be with Stalin or Nickelback? Do we still hate Nickelback? Morning comes and I guess no one's coming to rescue them. Seems like as good a time as any to bond before an early death.
You know, when you think about it, we're really the only two viable candidates.
I mean, I know Quahog is overrun with psychos and idiots, but the only two? I'm looking forward to Greased Up Deaf Guy 2025.
Screw this. We just gotta get out of this bus.
Brian does his best to get out, but the whole thing starts to come down. Brian makes one last jump, but Quagmire nearly kills them both by grabbing him. Luckily, a guardian angel is watching over them.
Mayor West?
A beautiful moment, one that will surely stick with them and make them put aside their differences. And they go right back to hating each other when Brian and Ida get involved again in Bri-Da. So we first see Ida at the bar watching a video of her son getting it on with a girl who was accidentally live streamed. Worst day of her life, but the best day ever for a certain dog.
Howdy, stranger. Brian, What are you doing here?
I'm an alcoholic.
Quagmire's most embarrassing moment seems like the perfect time to hit on his parent, right? Never mind the ocean of vomit you had from a few episodes ago, I guess.
As much as you want to save your kids from their mistakes, it's their mistakes that help them grow and change.
Oh, she is eating this pseudo-intellectual crap up.
Except for a job and your own home, you are the full package, Brian Griffin.
Hey, Brian said the same thing about her. Maybe they really are meant to be. Well, they have another one-night stand, but Brian actually may want to make this a multiple-night stand. Or a relationship, as some people call them.
Does that mean you're asking me out?
I guess it does.
You consent and she consents, but isn't there someone you're forgetting to ask? So to break the news to Quagmire, the Griffins have him over for a nice, non-hostile meal.
Ida and I have, begun dating.
You cool with that, Quagmire?
You're joking, right?
Quagmire, this is Family Guy. There are no jokes here. Brian and Ida start living with each other, and even though Quagmire hates his guts, he tries to put on a brave face.
That's great. That's just great, Brian. I am very excited for this unique breakfast.
The unique breakfast being eggs with toast, by the way. Is it really possible for Quagmire to get along with Brian for the sake of Ida? No, but gosh darn it, Quagmire's willing to try.
Brian thought you two could hang out this afternoon, and I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, Quagmire, what do you say?
Well, his body says he's about to throw up everywhere, but his mouth says okay. So the boys have some soon-to-be stepfather, soon-to-be stepson quality time together. Can you imagine being older than your dad? Oh, and if your dad was a dog, that's probably the crazier thing to note.
It's like night at the museum in here.
How?
Well, you know, like the guys are gonna come to life.
Welp, you learn something new every day. You do not F around about night at the museum with Quagmire.
Be very, very careful treading around night at the museum.
We've all got that one movie. For me, it's Garfield 2, A Tale of Two Kitties. You joke about that film and I will end you. Well, maybe things will get better at the cookout with the classic game of kids versus adults football.
All right, we're gonna destroy those kids.
Oh, someone's on the wrong team. Boy, they're in such a hurry not to be kids anymore.
I mean, Quagmire's the oldest out of almost all of them. He's canonically 61 years old. But I guess Brian's got him on that technicality. He even lets Quagmire win the game like a good dad.
Brian, you're very sweet to do that.
To do what? I'm the one who scored the touchdown.
You sure did, Glenn.
Yeah, Quagmire can't do this. He could forgive sleeping with Brian once, but dating him, that's too much.
And now you've had time to adjust and your choice is Brian? Why in God Almighty would you choose him?
Fair point. I'm not even super convinced Brian isn't just dating her to make Quagmire mad. Well, Quagmire set the ultimatum. It's either him or Brian.
I choose Brian.
Yes.
To talk to first.
In actuality, Ida doesn't want to lose her son even though she finds Brian very special. But really, Quagmire is an adult. He should be able to handle his mom's love life. It really doesn't have to affect him so much. This really feels like Quagmire being spiteful. But Brian can be spiteful too, like when he tried to shut down Quagmire's cat cafe and cat fight. So Quagmire, being the cat lover that he is, decides to open up a cat cafe.
It's like a coffee shop, except one where lots of cats live and roam.
Yes, those are a real thing, and no, I have no clue how any of that sounds sanitary in the slightest. And of course, if there's only one thing Brian hates more than a Quagmire, it's a cat.
Hey, shut up! Don't look at me! I'm dominant!
Brian's mad that Quagmire had the audacity to open this cafe next to his favorite bar, but Quagmire isn't going anywhere, so Brian must take things into his own hands.
Fine. But I'm about to become your worst nightmare.
I'm not even much of a cat guy, but Brian seems way too angry about this. I'm not really a dog person either. For me, it's all about the sugar gliders. So Brian decides to protest the establishment, citing city ordinances and whatnot.
Food or drink shall not be prepared or consumed within 20 feet of fecal matter.
Yeah, but if the fecal matter is 21 feet away from you, then you're all good. Go crazy. It looks like all of Brian's protesting pays off as Joe informs him of the good news.
The city has decided to shut this establishment down.
Quagmire is obviously mad, but he doesn't seem down and out yet. Never bet against a man with 20 or so cats. He clearly doesn't have much to live for and has nothing to lose. Brian decides to celebrate with a drink, but it turns out his little protest has come to bite him in the butt. The bad kind, not the kind that he already does.
The city has said that no animals of any kind are allowed in any public establishment.
Yeah, Brian, did you forget that you yourself were an animal? For real, you're wearing a collar. Only goths and animals wear those, and I'm not seeing any black lipstick on you. Now banned from all bars, Brian starts to tweak out and shuffle around home. How about signing up for an AA meeting?
I haven't been able to go anywhere. No dogs allowed in public places.
Meanwhile, Quagmire is swimming in a sea of alive and dead cats at home.
How's it going? I got a dead cat on a pitchfork. I don't even know which can to put it in.
I just put whatever in whatever. The trash gods will sort it out. So with Brian angrily sober and Quagmire having to burn a mountain of dead cats, things finally explode between the two of them.
You son of a bitch! This is all your fault!
Both punch around for a bit before the two come to their senses, and Brian apologizes for being a massive D-bag.
I'm sorry I destroyed your dream, Quagmire. I know you loved that cafe.
The two make up and, oh my god, they're going on a walk together? Maybe there's hope for them yet. Remember, if you have a disagreement with someone, just punch each other for a bit and you'll learn to respect one another. Or you'll be dead. Either way, you won't have to worry about it anymore. But Quagmire did have to worry about his dog-loving fiancé finding out he hates dogs and must love dogs. So Quagmire is seeing a woman named Carrie, and judging by the fact that they're being seen in public together, she hasn't found out what a creepy weirdo Quagmire is yet. But he almost lets the worst thing about him slip out. He hates dogs.
Who brings a dog to a coffee shop?
I love dogs.
Without letting me pet it.
Carrie is a huge dog lover, and I guess that means Quagmire is now too. Carrie suggests that their next date be at the dog park with their dogs, and Quagmire agrees. Now, if only he knew a dog. Quagmire decides to ask Brian if he'll pretend to be his dog, but he's gonna have to drive a hard bargain to get him to do that.
There are not enough tennis balls in the world for me to...
I have 6.
I'll do it.
Okay, so like $10, but they're worth millions in dog money. So all Brian needs to do is just act like a normal, non-talking dog.
Brack.
Brack? What the hell is that?
Look, Glenn, if you wanted a proper Bracken dog, you could have adopted a Bracken dog yourself. Brack off. Brian's mostly doing this to watch Quagmire crash and burn, so you know he's gonna do everything he can to see him fail.
You're just gonna bail and leave her in the dust.
Hey, how's your son, Brian?
Better off not being in his life. How's your daughter, Quagmire? Quagmire admits the truth. He's in love with her. Well, we've been here before, and if it's anything like last time, someone might end up dead. Well, Brian is gonna see just how much he loves her by staging a fake proposal at the Griffin house.
Will you marry me?
What's this now?
Oh my god, Glenn. Yes, of course I'll marry you.
Masterful gambit, Mr. Brian Edward Griffin. But Quagmire actually seems happy about this. That is, until he realizes Carrie has a few more dogs than he thought.
Dexter eats all this?
Not just Dexter, but Dexter and all his rescue brothers and sisters.
Wow, that woman is a saint. Unfortunately, she's getting married to the biggest sinner in town. Quagmire does his best to coexist with 50-something dogs, but Brian gets to enjoy drinking in a sweet, sweet I told you so.
Shut up, Brian. Why don't you go for a walk? No walk. No, we're not going for a walk.
Saying walk to a dog is like saying the activation word for a sleeper soldier. You gotta be prepared for the consequences. But it's time for the engagement party, and Quagmire almost forgets the flea-ridden reality he's stepping into.
I first met Carrie and her niece a couple of weeks ago on Halloween. Thank God they decided to take that walk.
Oh no.
And now we're headed down the aisle. A very different kind of walk.
Come on, say something else. Stroll, strut, stride.
If I may borrow a line from our favorite song, I would walk 500 miles.
All hell breaks loose, which causes Quagmire to finally break himself.
I hate dogs.
Is this maybe where Quagmire's hate for Brian stems? Does he just hate all dogs and by extension Brian? Well, Brian is the only one he knows who can talk to him, so I'm sure that doesn't help either. But Brian does manage to offer some genuine help to Quagmire when Stewie gets lost in Paris in the Stewaway. So things first go awry when Stewie and Brian decide to play hide and seek, but like the tired parent version where the kid hides and no one looks for them, a classic of my childhood. Anyway, Stewie comes across the perfect place to hide, a front yard suitcase.
Oh, baby, that's the spot.
But that suitcase has places to be, going all the way to Paris with Quagmire.
Stewie? Mr. Quagmire? Terrence.
And the Sweaty Clam, yay! Quagmire isn't too jazzed about this impromptu babysitting ordeal, but the two actually get along pretty well. Normally, I wouldn't want Quagmire 100 feet from a child, or any place that houses children, but I'm glad they're getting along well. The two see all the sights, the Louvre, the Mona Lisa, and the little corner bistros where wine's like $5. Now that's a bargain. But the wine flow's a bit too heavy and both are drunk as hell. I know the drinking age is lower in France than in America, but is it really 1 year old?
I love you, man. I love you too, man.
Alright, so to understand Stewie, you either have to be another baby, Brian, Chris, or just really, really drunk. Got it. The two drunkenly try to make it back to the hotel, but a sleeping Quagmire loses track of Stewie.
Stewie, where are you?
Quagmire scours the city but can't find Stewie anywhere. Out of options, he's forced to make a deal with the devil himself.
Glenn Quagmire, what is up?
Brian is the last person Quagmire would call, but he knows Stewie better than anyone and might be able to help find him.
First class and no male flight attendants in my area.
Fine. I knew airlines could do that.
Sure, Brian, glad you're getting a nice fancy flight while your best friend is lost in Paris. Happy to see you have your priorities in order. But once the pair do get together, it's right back to their good old all-American bickering.
Should we look in, like, a park?
In like a park? I flew you out here for this level of insight?
Easy, Glenn. You're the one who got a baby drunk and lost him. If this was a country with actual rules, you'd be in big trouble.
I lost him, and now he's gone, and it's all my fault. I'm a loser.
Brian, if I were you, I'd be recording this for later. But Brian actually feels bad for Quagmire and agrees to continue to help. Thankfully, they come across the graveyard Quagmire and Stewie were gonna visit and find him crying inside. That's all well and good, but Brian did nothing really to help. He didn't sniff him out or remember a place Stewie always wanted to visit, he just stumbled across Stewie, which Quagmire probably could have done himself eventually. At least he got that first-class flight though, huh, Brian?
There's the best little travel buddy in the world.
Okay, this is a pretty sweet moment between Brian and Quagmire. Will this be the end of their rivalry? Only time will tell, but I don't doubt that man's best friend will continue to be Quagmire's worst enemy. Be sure to subscribe for more Family Guy lists and episode analysis, and feel free to check out some of our other videos on screen right now.